Good evening. It's good to see everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Conversations in Black Freedom Studies. And we're going to be hearing from three scholars talking about three different moments. Our first presentation is by Caleb Smith, who is coming to us from Yale University to talk about his new book and perhaps one of the first narratives we have of a black person who was incarcerated in the mid-1800s. And so he will be talking about his new book, The Life and the Adventures of a Haunted Convict. Professor Aldon Morris is here from Northwestern, and he will be talking about his new book on Du Bois and the founding of modern sociology, so the book The Scholar Denied. So we will be joined by Aram Goudsouzian, who is here from the University of Memphis to talk about his book, Down to the Crossroads, which is on the Meredith March. So I would like you to join me in welcoming Caleb Smith, Aldon Morris, and Aram Goudsouzian. Thank you.
The Life and the Adventures of a Haunted Convict surfaced a few years ago, a mystery out of the past. The manuscript appeared to have been finished in 1858. In a bound journal and two hand-sewn gatherings of loose paper, it gave a first-person account of a young black man's life as an indentured servant, a juvenile delinquent, and a prisoner in New York State.
In The Scholar Denied, W.E.B. Du Bois and the Birth of Modern Sociology, I'm asking a big question and making a big argument. Namely, how would race and our understanding of it had evolved differently if Du Bois's scholarship had been embraced by mainstream scholars and absorbed in the academy? When the civil rights movement exploded in the middle 1950s and 60s, the entire corpus of social science analysis was taken completely by surprise. This happened because all the accepted social scientific viewpoints made it impossible to foresee pressure and capacity for change coming from the black community.
On June 6, 1966, just south of Hernando, Mississippi, where James Meredith was walking down Highway 51. Meredith, of course, was famous for integrating the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss, 4 years earlier, and of course it sparked major riots and a crisis for the administration of John F. Kennedy. It led to the deaths of two innocent people, and it was a very influential event in the civil rights history. But this walk, 4 years later, is more or less the endeavor of a solitary man. And I like to think of the book as both what I call an old civil rights history and a new civil rights history. The old history tends to revolve around Martin Luther King, nonviolent protests, brutal Southern racists, dramatic media flashpoints, and national legislation that helped weave black people into the fabric of American democracy. In this story, after great triumphs, it frays apart with the call for black power. The new civil rights history incorporates generations of scholars who see the importance of local movements, who see critical roles of women and grassroots activists, who acknowledge a long civil rights movement that stretches beyond the King years, and who place the movement into an international context.
There's been a concentrated, sustained effort since integration to defund and take apart some of these institutions. And part of the place that funding and that new institution building is going to is the massively expanding prison system. So there seems to me to be a very clear connection between these two projects on the same monster that's building up the prison system with one hand is tearing down the universities with the other.
The civil rights movement had a profound impact on the power that African Americans have. As much as we see those barriers today, you've seen a dramatic change over the course of the last half century in terms of the cultural influence of African Americans. And that shouldn't be discounted, right? We should appreciate the gains as well as understand the very serious continuing barriers.
But until there are some real understandings and movements that are built to redistribute wealth and income and privilege so that all people in America and indeed the world have real equal opportunity, then we will continue to have racism, because racism is used as a tool to maintain privileges.